Hey, it's good to be back with you again, my friend. I'm so glad to be in your living room, your den, whatever room we happen to be in today. I'm just so glad to be with you, and I'm glad you're with me. Well, I hope you're ready for another fun painting because we're going to get right into it. And while I get started, all the names of the colors are going to be flashing across the screen so you know exactly what I'm using. Now, we use the same colors every time, so that way you never get confused. And well, we got ourselves another little seascape today. It's got a little bit of the landscape in it, though. We're going back to the lighthouse today. And I thought that, well, it would just be fun to do that. Now, you know what we like to do. You know what we like to do. I'm going to get out my flat brush for one. I'm going to get out my big old round brush. I got a big old round brush here that's made with natural hairs. And I like to use the natural hairs on this brush because it holds a lot of paint. It holds a lot of water. It is just fantastic to use. And what I like to do for skies is I want to go right into the quinacridone magenta and the phthalo blue. All right, quinacridone magenta and the phthalo blue, and those two colors together are going to make a non-granulating middle blue. I want to mix them about even amounts. Okay, and that way, when I finally put this color on, it's going to look a little bit like our ultramarine color, but it's going to have no texture. And you might be asking yourself, well, why don't you just use ultramarine? Well, it's a good question. It's honestly a good question. The reason I don't use it is because I want a non-granulating color, but ultramarine granulates, so that puts a damper on things, doesn't it? Yeah. So if you don't want texture, you have to pay attention to things like that. Whereas ultramarine has got a granular texture to it, and it makes it look like it imitates the color of stones and anything that's got like a granular texture to it is what ultramarine is good for doing. All right, now what I'm doing here is laying down a wash. I'm laying down some water with my flat brush and I'm wetting the paper. Now my flat brush is made of synthetic hairs. It doesn't hold a heck of a lot of water. So we gotta just be real quick about things. Be real quick about it. And we're going to lay down as much water as we can in a short period of time. And I don't want to spend too much time fiddling around with this because I don't know if you know this about this type of paper, but depending on the paper you have, the paper might be really absorbent. And if it's really absorbent, it's going to dry quickly. It's going to create all kinds of headaches for you. It's going to create even more headaches if you paint on paper like this, where I got the paper turned all horizontal, or not horizontal, but vertical. And I tell you, this is a madman's way of painting right here. This is what crazy people do, and well, I guess I'm a little crazy. Anyway, let's go ahead and try to get into some of these little areas in here. Yeah. If you make a mistake and you accidentally get something you didn't mean to, I mean, it happens. It's one of those things that happens in watercolor. Okay, we got the paper wet enough now. Now let's take our round brush here and let's go right at the top. Remember, you want the color to be the most intense it can be at the top of the paper there, all right? Now you might notice that there's some little dry brush things going on in here, and that's because, like I say, the paper is really absorbent, okay? So be quick, or get more water on the paper, whichever. We're just using 140-pound paper, by the way. We're not using any special type of paper or anything like that. 140-pound paper is the most common paper there is, most common paper weight. Okay. Here, let's get a little bit more of that color. All right. There. And I'm going to go all the way up to the guardrail here. The guardrail. And the reason I'm doing that, okay, we're going to go up, get in these little areas too. There it goes. Okay. Alright. Yeah, sometimes things can get a little tricky. Okay, we gotta move. Alright. No more dilly-dallying. We can always wet the paper a little bit if we need to, or to move this along. But anyway, let's go ahead and very quickly now get out a nice big piece of our teepee. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom here. And I'm going to start at the bottom because I want this to be kind of lighter color at the bottom here, whereas at the top it can be a little darker. It's not as big a deal if the color is darker at the top, because that way, this is one of those trials and tribulations of painting like this. Okay, so now as we go up with our TP all bunched up like this, and you want to bunch it up because that way it's going to create all these little individual textures like this, okay? There. And I'm holding the paper here so it doesn't move around too much because it has a tendency to do that. Now look at this. We've already got instant clouds just the way we painted that. And that's really all there is to it. Now isn't that easy? Boy, that's easy, isn't it? I'll say. Alright. So let's clean off our round brush. Clean off our round brush. Okay? And now let's go ahead and get a little bit of, I think I want to get some nickel azo yellow. And I want to get a little bit of quinacridone magenta. And I'm going to go into my triad mix here. And what I have here in the palette, let me see if I can lift this up here for you. What I have here is a little triad mix of nickel azo yellow, quinacridone magenta, and ultramarine. But I'm not going to get a lot of ultramarine in this one. Not going to get much at all. I'm going to get mostly nickel azo yellow, a hint of the quinacridone magenta, and then we're going to take our other flat brush, because I got another flat brush going, okay? And we're going to go right here. Now remember, with watercolor, you want to paint the lightest objects first. You want to go light to dark in watercolor, because that's really the way that you're going to paint these things. And that's the only way to do it, okay? And I like to lay down that initial layer of water to make things look a little bit more, give it a little bit more of that watercolory feel. Because you know, you lay down the water and then you let things work wet and wet like this. You put down the water, then you drop the color in, and you just let the watercolor do its thing. You let it do its thing. And a lot of the time it does such wonderful things. A lot of the other time it'll just frustrate you. Okay. Alright. So here's what we can do. This is dry here, so let's just go like that. Okay, and then we'll go up in here maybe. Get some of this. Okay. And then we'll go the other way, like this. Okay. And now we've got a couple of different areas here, very quickly like that. And it was all very easy to do. Alright. And what we can do here is just lift a little bit of this, like that. And it shouldn't lift too much because remember, these are staining colors that we're using. A lot of these colors that we use stain a lot. Some of them don't stain so much. Nickel azo yellow doesn't stain too much. But quinacridone magenta, ooh boy, that color stains. This is what I get when I paint like this. I paint like this and it just wants to fall right off the easel. It's protesting by the way I'm painting. It doesn't like the way I'm doing this. It's telling me, you gotta set me down. You know, I tell you, your tools, they got a mind of their own, I swear. I swear they do. Okay, let's go ahead and get some of these. Okay. And I don't know. Okay. And we'll go ahead and get the whole thing, maybe. Yeah, that's probably about the way to do it. And we'll stop right about here. Okay. And we'll pick it back up over this way. Here. If you're ever in doubt, pick up a little bit more color. There. There it goes. Okay. And we're going to stop right here because this is going to be about the same color as the lighthouse. And we haven't gotten to the lighthouse yet, have we? No, not quite yet. Now, when you pick up color, or when you want to pick up things a little bit, you should start at the side that's a little drier. Start at the side where you want to pick things up a little bit more aggressively, alright? Now, we're not going to worry too much if things dry a little darker down here. And especially if we haven't really gotten to things yet, okay? If we haven't really gotten to things yet, it's not that big of a deal. Ooh, we forgot a spot. Here. There, we'll just get that right there. Alright? That's good enough. That's good enough. Now, while we wait for that to dry, actually we could probably go ahead now, and since I think that's pretty dry, let's go ahead and, you know what I want to do? You know what I want to do? I'm going to paint. I'm going to use our middle blue again, with the quinacridone magenta and the phthalo blue like this. Okay? And, ooh, boy. I'm going to get a lot of it because I'm going to use it in a little bit. I'm going to use that later. Yeah, sure am. Okay, and we don't need a lot of green, so this green I have on my palette, I can go ahead and wipe this off. Get rid of that business. We don't need none of that. Nah, we're good. Now what I do need, though, is more of a darker sort of green, okay? And I have an idea for that. I have an idea. Let me get out my other round here. I got all kinds of different brushes. I got a couple of rounds here. This round I'm using is made with natural hairs too. It's just a smaller version of the brush I was using earlier. The round brush, okay. Now let's go ahead and get a little bit of the Nicolazo yellow. I'm going to go into the well that has a little bit of the quinacridone magenta in here. Now let me show you my well here. I don't know if you can see it too well. I'm trying to not spill paint on myself, but here, let me bend this up for you. Now here's how this goes. I have a couple different lines of paint in a single well. So I have Nicolazo yellow right next to quinacridone magenta here. And I can do that with every color combination that I use a lot, but I use all of them a lot, so I have a lot of different colors next to each other. But I recommend you try it out for yourself and see if you like having that color next to one another. Okay? You might be surprised. You might be surprised how well you like it. Now I'm just getting a little bit of the quinacridone magenta in here. And I'm going to keep this real light. I'm going to keep it real light. Okay? Now, let's take a look here. Maybe. Now we're just going to do like a zigzag type of motion here to imitate the waves of the water. All right? That's really all we have to do. We don't have to go crazy with it at all. Okay? We'll set that brush down. You can do this with a flat brush. You can do it with a round brush. And boy, look at that. That's what I get. That's what I get. And you can wet the paper with their tissue paper too if you need to. Lighten it up a little bit. Okay, there it goes. Now down here we'll take a little bit more of this. Alright. Now over here, I'm going to remove a little bit of that. Alright. There. That should about do it. Now, while we wait for that to dry, let's wait for that to dry. I think that might be a capital idea. Let's go ahead and mix something up that we can use. Here, let me get my brush out of the way here. Let's go ahead and mix something up for that lighthouse up there. Now let's take a little bit of, I know what we need to use. We need to use a little bit of quinacridone magenta and pyro orange. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be a nice color. You want to use a little bit more of the pyro orange to the quinacridone magenta on this one, because the quinacridone magenta is going to be very strong. All right. And if you need to, just go straight into the pyro orange well. Boy. Pyro orange is a pretty strong color in itself, but it's so easily influenced by the quinacridone magenta that it's difficult to maintain its integrity sometimes. Okay, let's go ahead and just paint this color in. Okay. Now there's going to be a little window right there, so we're not going to paint that. But we're going to go down the rest of this. You know what we're going to do? You know what we're going to do? I'm going to paint those lines there. Okay. And we'll look for all the little beams and all that stuff down here. It just needs to be a real quick thing. Here, we'll go down here too. Okay. There. And now, we want to lighten this up a little bit. We want to lighten it up a little. Lighten it up, okay? Now don't forget to connect this, because these ladders here are kind of connected that way. All right. Okay. Now look how easily that was done. Look how easily that was done. And is that dry yet? Oh yeah, it's looking pretty dry. We can already go in, add a second layer. Now you can do that. You can do that. I don't know if you knew, but you can do that. You can go in and add a second layer if the paint is dry, okay? Here, I kind of goofed on that one. There it goes. Now some of these areas, especially around this ladder here, I want to leave those alone. I want to leave those alone in here. So edge right there I want to get. But everything else around this window, around this ladder, I want to get. Okay. And there's going to be a little something down here. There it goes. Okay, we got ourselves a nice little lighthouse going here. Yeah, what the heck, let's go ahead and just add a couple of things right in here. There. That's about good enough, I think. Well, let's take our... which flat brush were we using for? There's that blue. There's that blue. Alright, alright, alright. Now, we're going to pay special attention here, because right around, here's where... This is where we want to go ahead and just wave this brush around, okay? There it is. Okay, that's all we got to do for that side. Now let's go in very quickly. And look at that, we've already got a pretty respectable looking blue. Alright, now here's where we're gonna... Okay, now be sure to paint around that rock there, okay? Try not to get it. Try not to get it. That keyword try there. Okay, there we got that. There. Here's all that. That's all there is to that. Let me see, where's my dry flat brush? There it is. There it is. Okay. Now, oops. I don't know if I like that. Got a little too much of that color in there. So I'll mix up a little bit more of the Pyro and the quinacridone magenta. And then we're going to look down here and get this handsome lighthouse in there. Okay. I already know this is pretty dry, so we can go ahead and start doing some various little things here. Now remember, when you do reflections like this, that they're going to be real wavy. I guess that's the way to describe it, right? Real wavy. Okay, so you want to just keep it broken. You want to keep it real loose. And that way when you finally go in and get it done, look at that. Instant reflections there, right? I know. It's that easy. It really is. It really is. Now, here's what I can do. Here's what I can do. You know, I don't want the ultramarine. I want the phthalo blue and the quinacridone magenta color here. And I'm going to mix that with a little bit of my nickel azo yellow. I'm going to get a little bit more quinacridone magenta on that. At the very least, I want this to be kind of a dark olivey kind of color. I know olivey kind of sums it up, but yeah, it needs to be a real dark color. Anyway, we're going to go around this area right here in a minute. But first I want to go in, I'm going to take my brush here, and I'm going to go in and kind of just get the rest of these areas right over here. Okay. There. And you know what? As you go ahead and lighten it up if you want to. Okay. And I'll go in here too. Like I say, keep it loose, keep it wavy. That's how you paint water like this. And if you want, you can go back in with a few things and kind of just do it like that. Here. I'll go back in with some of this and do a couple more of these little areas with the blue. Keep it real uneven as you're painting like this. Real uneven. You don't want to make it too uniform. If it looks too uniform, it's not going to look right. You know, you want a little bit of the value in there. You want to surprise people with what you're painting. There it goes. There it goes. Okay. Okay. That looks about right. That looks about right. Okay. Now, let's take... Ooh. That's a red. Sometimes I gotta check my brushes to see what I put on them. Okay, there's the color I'm looking for. Alright, so that's, that's good enough. Alright, so here we go. Here we go. Okay. And this is kind of just, we're kind of just knocking in the shadow here from what this is over here in this bridge here. Okay. Like right here. There it is. There it is. Okay. And now, we can go ahead and paint a few things right here. Right in there. Okay. Just like that. And you see how easy it is to knock in colors like these? And you see how quickly the piece takes shape once we start doing this. Now, we'll take that same color, go over here, and start knocking in these colors, alright? And this will provide an interesting little guideline for us. Because maybe we haven't figured out exactly everything yet. That's okay. There. We're already starting to see things take shape, aren't we? Yeah, we are. We're really starting to see things take shape here. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely, absolutely wonderful. Now, this is going to have a little bit more stone in it, I think. So I'm going to start thinking about what I want to do here. And we're going to introduce a little bit of the ultramarine, I think. Yeah, we're going to introduce some of this ultramarine color. Okay? Yeah, let's go ahead into the ultramarine and nickel azo yellow. And get a little bit of this color here. Add some white, or not some white, but you know what? You know what? Watercolor and watercolor, the white The white is technically your water because it's lightening it, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Okay. Okay, so we got this pretty dark brownish green color. Let me get a piece of my teepee here. This teepee I'm using is not anything special, by the way. It's just this real basic hardware store toilet paper that I use. It's this stuff that you see in the office when you go to work. You know, the stuff that they put in the bathroom stalls because they don't want you to have the good stuff. Yeah. That stuff ain't much for using, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty good for painting. So I use it. Okay, let's go ahead and lift a little bit of that. We don't need all that. Here, let's go ahead and do this. Right about. Ooh, I'm going to go right about. Ooh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right about here. Okay. There that goes. Here. That's all there is to that. Let's add a little bit more of the quinacridone magenta to that color. And we'll go ahead and throw this in. I know, it's little moments like these that really test your bravery, you know? Where you ask yourself, ooh, I don't know if I can do this. Well, ask yourself also how bad you want to paint. Okay, that's all there is to that. That's good, my friends. Okay. Now, you know what I think I might do? You know what I think I might do is I might get a little bit, here, let me with the brush. There it goes. See, watercolor works a lot better when you actually have water in it. I don't know if you knew that, but you do now. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of that greenish color and just kind of throw it down in here, I think. And I'm going to throw it down here. There it goes. So we got ourselves a little bit of a reflection down here, okay? There it goes. And we'll also here's what I think I want to do. I'm gonna I'm just going to notate a lot of these edges with that color. Make it look like there's a little something there, you know? Yeah. You may also want to go ahead and take some of that darker color and go back in like this. Okay. There. And boom. Yeah, that's about all there is to it. Yeah, we'll take some of that darker color too and maybe go down here and there. Just create a few waves in there, something like that. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Here. There. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to take a little bit more of the phthalo blue in here. And we'll... Ooh, you know what? I'm seized by inspiration here. I'm gonna take the phthalo blue with a little bit of my pyrrole, and I'm just gonna smack in some of these railings here, like this one right here. Oh yeah. Now this little piece is still a little wet right there, so we'll just take a little bit of that edge off. Okay. All right. I'm gonna brace this with my pinky. Okay. Just like that. And it's like I say, if you go in fast enough, you can catch a lot of your mistakes as you make them. And you can still fix them. But if you wait, if you dilly-dally, well, it's going to be a lot harder then. Okay. Now look how quickly we did that. Look how quickly we managed that one. Here, we'll go ahead and get this right here. Ooh, we're getting a little bit of paint over here on the other side of the paper. That's okay. It adds a little bit of charm, doesn't it? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I better be a little careful, though. Okay. Okay. All right. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Yeah, I'd say so. Ooh, you know what? I think I want to go down and just get a little bit more down here. Okay, just like that, my friends. Just like that. All right. Maybe we'll tackle the edge right here. Just like that. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay. And we got a little bit of that going on. I'm gonna work on a couple of these people in the background here right now. I'm just gonna add a little bit of the. I'm going to rinse off that and get a little bit of the, yeah, I'll just get a little bit of blue right here. Okay. And then maybe we'll get a little bit of yellow on this person right here. Yeah, imagine just looking out at the water, watching for ducks and wondering where they all went. Thinking to themselves, boy, this is a ripoff. We drove 50 miles here to see some ducks over here at this pier, and then we didn't see a thing. Never mind, there's a lighthouse right next to them, which is probably the main attraction of the whole thing, you know? Ah, well, there's just no pleasing some people, least of all these folks. Okay. And let's go and get some of this. There. Okay. We'll just imagine that there's a little bit of a lip right there. Okay. And maybe we'll go in here. And just add a little something right there. Yeah, that's about right. There. If you're running any mishaps, go ahead and dab it. A little dabbing will do ya. And now we'll just add a little quinacridone magenta here. I'm looking for a flesh tone. Flesh tones are always, sometimes they're hard to think of, sometimes they're easy. But in a nutshell, you want to use a little bit of ultramarine to get that texture in the skin. Because if you look at skin, it's got all kinds of pores and stuff like that, and little blemishes and all that. And, well, I mean, these people are in the background here, so how much detail is there really going to be on them? But still, you want to add a little something for them. Okay. And that's about as much as I feel like. That's about as much as I feel like doing to them. Okay, let's go in here next, and I want to take a look at some of this area right here. Now since we are dealing in rocks right now, let's go ahead and I'll get some of my ultramarine, my quinacridone magenta, and I'm gonna get a lot of it actually. Ooh, you know what I want to do? You know what I think I want to do instead? I'll get my quinacridone. I'm not gonna get any quinacridone. I'm gonna get my ultramarine here. And a little bit of pyro. Yeah, that's gonna work real nice, I think. Now this is gonna be mostly ultramarine. Here, let me get a little bit more water. Oh yeah. Like I say, mostly ultramarine on this one, okay? And once we got a lot of that ultramarine with just a little bit of the pyro, we're gonna take our brush, splay it out right about here, and we're gonna find all the little areas where we think there should be a little shadow. Okay, just a little bit of a shadow right there. And you know, you just want to search for it. I mean, these shadows could be wherever. But in general, you want to have the shadow on the right side, because look at the lighthouse, right? It's got shadows. Where are they? Well, they're on the right side, so you kind of want to follow what you've done there. All right? There. I mean, look at all that. Look at all that. You don't have to follow exactly what you have in your sketch or in a picture or anything like that. You can go ahead and just freestyle. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just making it up. Make it up. The point is, it should look vaguely like rocks. Okay? That's really what you're aiming for. You just want to look vaguely like rocks, all right? You don't want to be overbearing. You don't want to steal the show. Because guess where the show is? The show's in the background. It's got a 2-drink minimum. And by that, it means people just gotta fall into the lake here. It's the only way they're gonna get that 2-drink minimum done. Alright. I'm gonna get some more ultramarine here. And I'm gonna whip up a little bit of a color here. Ooh, I'm gonna get some of my quinacridone magenta with my ultramarine. And I want kind of this dark brown color here. Alright. So, alright, so we got a little bit of that, and now we can get a little bit of this. Okay. Like that. There it goes. We'll go over here. And that color, I think, works much better, actually. There it goes. Alright. We're making a lot of progress here, aren't we? Yeah, we are. Here, let's just go. If the color bleeds into what you've done a little bit, I mean, whatever, it's all good. Don't let it bother you any at all. Here's what I'm going to do. Take a little bit of the color like that and just put a little dot right there. Ooh, yeah. Lift that a little bit and that'll be the end of that. There. Yeah, let's go ahead and maybe add a little something up here to all this. Because, you know how it is. We got to add a little bit of this shadow to this area right here. There it goes. Alright, now take a look at your painting. Lean back a little bit and ask yourself, is there anything more we could possibly do to this. And sometimes the answer is yes. Other times, the answer is no. Right now, I feel like we're getting close to the end of things where it's about time to start wrapping things up. I've had my fun, and hopefully you've had yours too. Okay? There it goes. And maybe we'll just add a little something over here for these people to make them stand out a little bit more. Yeah, just like that. Here, we'll give them some pants too. Why not? Yeah, that works. It's funny. Alright. I think I've fiddled around with this enough for today. So with that, let's go ahead into our thick red color, which is not a color that we use very often. Actually, let me do one last thing. One last thing. Let me do one last thing here. I'm gonna be bothered by it if I don't do it. Here, we'll go ahead right here and what I'm doing is just throwing a little bit of the post up here into the water here. Here's what we can do. We can take a little bit off the edges of these. Okay. We don't have to do a lot of that. In fact, that was probably too much as it was. Let's just sign our name right now. And I'm going to sign it S.K. And with that, I believe, here, let me do a couple more of these. I'll just do a couple of passes here. Just like that. Just like that. And that's how I know the painting's finished. Well, I hope you had a lot of fun with this one. I sure had a lot of fun with it. Give this one a try and see how you do. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's just something a little different for our lighthouse experience, because we've been painting the lighthouse a little bit recently. Last season we had ourselves a lighthouse too, and that one was much different from this one, even though it's the same lighthouse. I don't know if you knew that. Very same lighthouse from a different point of view. It always helps to do things from a different point of view so you really get an understanding of it. And with that, my friend, I think it's about time for me to go, unfortunately. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, with love from me to you, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.